Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Ash Kyrie and I am an indie author to be. I am in the messy middle of line editing / developmental editing. My story is a little bit weird. You can go check out my other videos if you want to figure out kind of why it is weird, and you might get some snippets of it in this video, because today we're going to talk about my messy writing process. Because let's be real, there is advice here and there and everywhere, and some of it's good and some of it's not, and some of mine may help you and it may be the worst decision you've ever made in your life. It really just depends. So if you're curious to figure out what I've tried and what's actually working and what was a dumpster fire, please just keep on watching. Before we get started into what works for me and what didn't work for me and all the dumb buffoonery that has happened in my writing process in the last 3 years, I would like you to drop in the comments which part of writing trips you up the most. Is it outlining / plotting? Is it the writing? Is it editing? Is it drafting? What is it? What is the absolute worst part for you when it comes to writing? Because for me, I feel like it's all of the above, and that's simply because I have no writing background and didn't know what I was doing. So let's get into it, because here on this channel, we talk about the real, raw, and the absolute chaos of what happens when you decide to become an indie author from a place of zero writing background, no writing education, anything like that. I am a stay-at-home mom who was a teacher before, and sure as fuck never wrote stories. I always was told I was a storyteller, but that part of me was kind of like dampened down. Hello, millennial trauma. And that wasn't just a sustainable career when I was a kid. So I think that it was kind of pushed out of me, and I found it again now in my 30s. So let's get into really like what I figured absolutely does not work for me and how I figured that out, because it was a total editing nightmare that told me my process wasn't working. So did I know that you need to brainstorm and outline and plot your ideas so that you have a general idea of the story? Yes. Did I know how to do that? No, because I did not know what story beats are, which are literally essential for a story to become a story that actually people care about and actually makes sense and does all the things that it's supposed to do. Because if you know anything about stories and you've read stories, which I'm assuming you read if you want to be a writer, because I feel like the two go hand in hand, that a story starts out and you've got the character living their life, and then oh crap, something happens, and then they have to decide what they're going to do, and then it's a bouncing chaotic ride of, oh, I'm going to do this didn't work, oh, I'm going to do this, it works, okay, we're going to keep going, oh nope, and it's like this until they finally hit a point where it's like, oh shit, everything's gone to hell and we're never going to be fine ever again. And then you get your ending, which either is chaos still happening, which leads into another book, or maybe it just doesn't and their life sucks forever and you just never know what happens, or it's usually a happy ending, especially when it comes to romance. Despite the subgenre of romance, there is usually always a happy ending. So there is a general like ebb and flow to stories, and I knew this, but I didn't know this. I did not know what Save the Cat Write the novel is. I didn't know what the actual story beats are. The 3-act story structure messed me up for a really long time. And so when I handed my editor my book that I wrote in a month that I was super confident about, and like I was like, yeah, this is such a good book. Even my best friend was like, this is a good book too, but it needs some work. And I was like, okay, great, cool, great. Send it to my editor, and she was like, this is trash. There's no story plot. There's nothing. Like, what is happening? There's so much chaos. And that was like my first wake up call of like, oh, I think this is harder than I thought it was, which, yes, super naive of me, but it was pandemic time and I was a mom who was just like, I need to find something that makes me happy. And I was like, I could do this. It's not that bad. No, it takes a lot of learning. So I spent 2 years in like a mental, I don't want to call it a breakdown, but a mental, just like, I'm not writing because I suck and I can't do it. But I did take the time to learn. Now, my editor did suggest that I use Save the Cat Writes the novel, and the current book that I'm working on, I do have that outline. However, this is my problem with Save the Cat Writes a novel, and I know that there's a lot of people out there. Phenomenal book. I understand the story beats perfectly fine, but for whatever reason, when I go to use it in an outline and I go to like do the steps, it puts me in this box and I feel uber like constricted, and I just can't write. It ruins momentum for me, and I can't pants anything because I go squirrel brain and my ADHD decides that it's going to do whatever, and my characters take over and they don't know what they're doing. Sometimes they do, but most of the time it's just pure chaos, and it doesn't work for me. I had to sit there and take time. And when I tell you I have read book after book, I've watched video after video, and there's a few people that I absolutely adore on YouTube who has taught me a lot. Abby Emmons is who I follow the most, simply because she has explained the 3-act story structure in a way that works for me. I love stories that are more character driven, where they're basing their decisions off of their trauma, their emotional arc, and everything like that. So it follows the character. It's not like where it's plot driven, where there's a lot of things going on, and the character can sometimes, especially if the story is not written correctly, be like a ping pong ball, like in the plot, and they're just getting beat up the whole time. And I don't like that. But I will be honest, the 3-act story structure confused the absolute crap out of me when I first started, but I'm now 3 years into writing my book, and the 3-act story structure makes the most sense into my brain because it's simplified, but it still has the beats that make sense to get the story from beginning to end. So I adore Abby Emmons and her process, and I started doing that. I also really understand scene cards now because of her, because scenes have been the detriment to my health. Like, let's be real, like scenes are absolutely insane. And I also really, really love, I'm gonna say her name wrong because I'm pretty sure it's Italian and I can't, but she's also a YouTuber here, and her name is Jenna Moreci, I think. And she's also an indie author, and she teaches how to write and all that stuff on her YouTube. And what I love about her is she's super blunt. She has a book that's shut up and write the book. And this book follows like the 3-act story structure, Save the Cat kind of mash together. And what I really love is she puts it in a very blunt way that you are overthinking. There is cursing, and she's like, you're just being dumb, get it together and write the book. And I absolutely love that because I needed that. And there is some parts of a story beat that I really struggled with, but she made it make sense to me. So it's like, oh, that clicked. And then so then when I went back and watched Abby Emmons' 3-act story structure, I was like, oh, now I get it. Like, I fully understand. Now, Save the Cat Writes a Novel by Jessica Brody is a fantastic book. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love it. And it does detail things in a way that makes sense for most people. It just does not work for me. And you're going to realize that sometimes someone says something, it works really well for them. It may not work for you. For example, outlining for me, strenuous outlining, which Abby Emmons does not work for me. I am a bullet point outliner. I need to go, this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, this, and this, and do it that way. And then I can kind of build it out a little bit more, but I can't do like a 500 word count for just the climax and then continue to write my book. Because what happens with me is I am an ADHD girly, and as soon as I outline a book like that, my brain goes, oh, we wrote the book, perfect, great, it's done. Dopamine hit, succeeded, we are happy, it's published, it's great. And I'm over here like, no, the book is not published. It's not written. It's not even done. But my brain goes, it is. So then if I try to push myself to write the book, my brain's like, this book is done. I'm bored. I don't want to do it no more. Do you see my problem? So then I have to shelf a book because my brain goes, it's done, but it's not done. And then I lose a beautiful story idea because I am not an outliner, and I'm also not a pantser. I am somewhere in between. And sometimes I have to outline a scene because my brain needs to like see the pieces. And then other times I'm like, I'm just going to wing it and it comes out great. It really just depends on what works for you. Everybody is going to be so different on how they approach writing. And so when I tell you what works for me may not work for you, and what Abby does may not work for you, and so on and so forth, you're going to grab bits and pieces. But the one thing that I want to say is do not get stuck in the loop of learning, because you will be stuck there and procrastinate actually writing the book. And as Jenna says, shut up and write the book. It's not that bad. Now, I also learned that discovery writing, which is the very first step, which I didn't know that there were steps to, like, you write the discovery right, and then you edit, and then you edit and edit and edit and edit and edit, and then you send it to an editor. That was something else I didn't know. It makes sense now because now we're at a point where I'm like, oh, I got it. I figured it out. But discovery writing scares the absolute crap out of me. It is necessity. It's going to happen. Your first draft that you write is the discovery draft. This is where you are putting the blanket story down of what you want to happen. But 9 out of 10 times, if you go to look at it, it is a dumpster fire. Your character arcs are wonky. One character doesn't show up for 15 chapters and then randomly shows back up like they were there the whole time. Or maybe your character had green eyes and now they have blue eyes. Or you were in Chicago, but all of a sudden you're in LA and you never explained how they got there. This is the importance of the discovery writing and editing. And I didn't understand that. And I can tell you right now, discovery writing scares the absolute fudge out of me, because as soon as I finish it and I have to edit it, I panic because I'm like, oh, this is crap. All of it's crap. It's garbage. It's not even worth a book. I just need to restart and rewrite. And sometimes you do need to rewrite, but I am a habitual rewriter, which also is a form of procrastination. So don't do that either. But I've learned that I bullet point, discovery write, and then I have to just suck it up and get through the messy middle of everything and just push through to the other side, because each time you look at your book, it's going to get better and better. I have also learned that putting them on different modalities also helps. So not just sticking to your computer, but also like putting it on your Kindle or printing it out, like looking at it in different formats also helps your brain to see the different mistakes that you may have not caught before. Now, I also want to talk about platforms that work for me and don't work for me. I tried Google Docs. I love Google Docs, but it doesn't have enough for me. I am a very visual person and I like to see pictures and do all of these things. Now, I have a platform that is my absolute favorite, and none of this is sponsored because I'm not that cool, but my absolute favorite platform is Campfire, right? I adore this website and I love how beautiful and easy it is to maneuver. However, though they have done a lot of updates in the past few years, I struggle with a few things. So everyone talks about Scrivener, and I'm going to get to that one in a minute, but Scrivener has some specific things that it does. So you can do like note cards, like index cards within Scrivener, and you can move them around and do all these things. You can see stats in Scrivener and whatnot. And you could do different folders and then add chapters to those folders and separate everything and organize everything in a way that works for you. Now, Campfire now has the ability to put your manuscript in folders. So if you wanted to put Act 1 and all of its chapters in a folder, you can do that. However, when you do that, you cannot look at your whole document from beginning to end. You can't click manuscript and read chapters 1 through 25 the same way that you can with Scrivener. Scrivener, you can click manuscript and you can read everything that's underneath that in one big document. That is a lifesaver when you want to separate your chapters, because maybe you're not a chapter writer, maybe you're a scene writer and you write scenes and maybe they're out of order and then you have to mix them around and you don't know how the best it's going to look without looking at it in a full document. So Scrivener is really good for that. And then Campfire, they also have the index cards now and they have stats and I absolutely love them. But again, there's a few quirks that Scrivener has that I absolutely adore. But then I love Scrivener because again, I can do all the things that I need to do and it's organized really pretty, but it doesn't have the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful aesthetics that Campfire has. I love the way Campfire has these boards where you can put pictures and lists and images and set it all up. Whereas Scrivener, you can do that technically, but it's a Word document set up inside of a chapter. So you can't really do pictures and whatnot. I will put screenshots up here. So like here, I'll move right here. I'll put some screenshots right here. This is Scrivener. Scrivener because you can customize it with a theme to fit your book story and whatnot. Like I have a very green, brown, basic look going here because of the story that I am currently working on. Normally in the future, it'll be black and blue, dark romance that fits my theme. But this is what I mean. So for example, I'm going to talk about the manuscript because that's what I brought up. So with the manuscript, you can see right here, I have these different big folders. If I click down, you can see that I have Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. This is the current work in progress that I'm working on, so I'm not going to show you too much into it because no thank you. But this is the index outlook that I talk about, and then you have the chapters, which I will blur because you can't be seeing that. But those are what I mean. And then if I click manuscript altogether, I can get a full look of all of the big folders of Act 1 and Act 2, and I can put in like, this is what happens in Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Now, if I click this little double paper over here, it'll bring up everything in one thing. And again, it's blurred because I don't want you reading it, but it brings up the entirety of my manuscript. But my issue is with characters. Now I can do the same thing in characters. I can look at it as one big document. I can click here and then you can see these are my characters for my story. And that's about as much as I can do with the pictures. And then it's, like I said, a Google Doc on the inside, which you will hear me ramble more about it. And then the settings as well, I can do like this and set it up like this. However, I don't really like that. So go ahead and listen to me ramble for a few more minutes about Scrivener because the big side of Scrivener is the manuscript section for sure. But go ahead and listen to me ramble about the rest of it, and then I'm going to show you Campfire in another screenshot and what Scrivener looks like. And it works and it's fantastic and it's absolutely beautiful. And I love the organization of it. And you can see like with a character, this is kind of how it looks. And that's it. Whereas Campfire looks like this. Now, as far as Campfire goes, this is what I mean by I love Campfire so much. You will notice that I have a little bit of a different theme going on here. But if I go to manage themes, I can go in here and change my theme in a heartbeat. So I believe the one that I have right now is set on my dark romance in here, but I can click history, confirm, and it changes the way that it looks. As simple as that. Whereas Scrivener is a lot more difficult to handle. This is fantasy, and we'll just do one more because why not? There's my dark romance coming back. Now, as you can see, there is a little stat here. All of this is editable and you can move them around. I love the little card features. They absolutely make me so happy. And I can put notes and I can do a little mood board up at the top and things like that. Now, the characters is where things really shine through. I can make character cards just like this for my characters and see everything on one screen. So this is a main character for another book that I am working on. His name is Hale. I don't have his information filled out because I'm not there yet. But as you can see, there's an image. Now, I can do that for every single one of my characters and it's much easier to look at. Now, when I go into locations, I can do the same things for locations. And this is what I love. So this story is based out of Charleston, South Carolina, and I need information. So I need what's the mood, the atmosphere, what characters are tied to this, real world details, visual scriptures, and I also need pictures. Like this is where like my world is. I need to know how everything correlates with each other. Same thing with this is a big location centered in my story. This is what I love about it. Now, manuscript, I have a hard time with. So if you go to manuscript up here and you click the little dots, it's going to bring up this. This is the stats. So for the discovery draft, I don't have anything yet. Obviously, I'm not writing the story right now. but I can put notes, I can add a description, I can put a status, so it's in progress, first draft, revised draft, so on and so forth. And it also tells you the stats. So there is 5 words in this chapter. That is it. And as you fill it out, I will show you chapters up here, and it tells you the word count and things like that. So I love Campfire for the stats are more beautiful to look at. They're just, I don't know, they are. But my problem is if I click on manuscript, as you can see, it does not give me full view of my manuscript, which is slightly irritating. And same thing if I click into a folder, I can't view the whole thing. I can only look at one chapter at a time. And that simply just does not work when you are trying to look at everything as a whole. So that is my issue with Campfire, but I love everything else because I can put things in notes and I can make it pretty. And like I have information and stuff to help me keep me on track. So that is kind of my issue with Campfire and the difference between Campfire and Scrivener. And I'm going to keep rambling. I'll catch you in the video. Set up boards and make it super pretty, and you can flip through pictures and whatnot. And I absolutely love Campfire for that. And I'm over here, like, I want something that does both of those together. I need the beautiful pictures, but I also want it to function like Scrivener. And I wish Campfire, they've been doing a lot of updates and they've been doing a lot of changes, but I wish that it functioned more like Scrivener when it comes to mainly the manuscript. But the thing about Campfire, right, is it's not just for novels. It is also for game writers. They are for like video games. They're for novels. They're for board games. Like, it is a world building app, not so much a writing app, whereas Scrivener is dedicated for writing and it's not so much like world building, which you would need for like games and things like that. So those are what works for me. I cannot type in Google and I cannot type in Word. Word irritates the crap out of me, and I have to use Word when I'm working with editors, and it irks me, but irrelevant. So those are what's working for me. I also like, I think it's called Tracker Bear, where I can track my word count. I also use ProWritingAid's. I'm doing their their Novel November challenge as well, which is really cool. I'm going to put it here because I don't know the exact name for it, but it's Flow something for timers to be able to do sprints and stuff like that. And that is what is working for me as of right now. And I know this is really a lot. And if you have questions, you can drop them in the comments below, because I do want to talk more about like what actually is happening, because I feel like as an indie author, there's so many things and so many pieces that just get really cluttered and confusing when you're watching this person and this person and this person. And the biggest thing that I have learned through this process is just embracing imperfection. Your book is never going to be perfect. Trad books are not perfect. Other indie author books are not perfect. There is no perfect book because humans are imperfect as they are. And that's okay. And embracing the suckage and knowing that your book sucks and that it can get as good as it can get before you publish is good, because how you get yourself stuck and how the book never gets finished is getting stuck in the imperfections, going, it's never going to be good enough. I'm never going to be good enough. Ew, no one wants that. So keep writing, embrace the imperfections, because it's worth it in the end. It's going to be messy and it's going to be whatever. Every author will tell you it is extremely messy, and that is okay, because messy is progress and progress is learning, and you get better each time. Your first book is going to suck. It's not going to be the best book you've ever written. Your 10th book is not going to be the best book you've ever written. The best book is going to be the last book that you wrote, because you're going to get better each time inherently on accident, just because you learn what works best for you. And right now, all the things that I've listed is what's working for me, but who knows a year from now if that's still going to work for me. So I will have the other YouTubers linked below so you can go check them out yourself, because I am all for supporting other indie authors. Another person I adore watching is Sarah Cannon. She's really great too at explaining things in a different way. She also has a writing challenge that she does on her YouTube as well. So that is it. If you have questions, please drop them below, and I will catch you in the next chapter with Chaos and Coffee.